Yo, it's Gary here. This is my super yummy recipe for Asopao de Camarones, my style. Please feel free to pause this video at any time so you can get a list of the ingredients and jot them down correctly. And by the way, this will serve up to 4 people. Enjoy. Okay, this is 1 cup of medium grain rice. You will need to soak the rice in water for about 3 to 4 hours before the start of the dish. This way the rice doesn't absorb the broth during the cooking process. The star of the dish is the shrimp. You want to get shrimp with shell on. I like to get a couple with the heads in order to add a little bit more flavor to the broth. We have 3 to 4 garlic cloves chopped, 1 teaspoon of adobo to season the shrimp, ½ cup of Spanish olives with some of the juice, of course some salt and black pepper to your taste. I like to use a lot of black pepper in mine. About 3 tablespoons of Puerto Rican sofrito, of course. A 1/4 cup of tomato sauce. 2 teaspoons of sazon with saffron. About 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. ½ of a small red onion and small yellow onion, chopped. The halves of 1 red bell pepper and green bell pepper, also chopped. A good bunch of cilantro stems and some of the leaves, unless you could find culantro leaves or recao. Otherwise, this is a good substitute. And optionally, a few strands of saffron. I use this in the broth. Now it's time to clean the shrimp. Be sure to keep the shells. Okay, so we have the shrimp shells and the heads, if you have them. And of course the clean shrimp. I like to keep only a few whole shrimp as it makes for a great garnish. But for the most part, I clean and cut the shrimp in half lengthwise. It makes for a better bite once it's all served. Medium-high heat and olive oil. Basically, we're going to use about half of all the ingredients other than the olives, tomato sauce, the adobo, and salt and pepper. I'm going to stir fry everything until it's translucent and then add the shells. We'll stir this around and then deglaze the pan with white wine. I only had bubbles, so technically that's white wine. Let that cook down. If you have culantro leaves, fold 2 or 3 of them, tear them up, and drop them in. In this case, I'm using cilantro stems and the leaves. Then add 4 cups of water. Once it starts to boil, you're going to lower the flame, cover, and simmer for about 25 minutes. And after 25 minutes, done. Look at that broth. It smells amazing. And now it's time to strain it. Here you can see that I'm using tongs to push the liquid through. You want to be sure to use something that you can push and squeeze out every last drop of this beautiful broth from these ingredients. Once I'm done straining it through, I discard the ingredients and then strain through again. And there you have it, part one of this fantastic dish done. Now, on to making the asopao. First thing, season the shrimp. Give them a good dusting of adobo, salt, and freshly cracked black pepper, all to your taste. Medium-high heat, olive oil. And to this, we will pretty much add the remaining of the prepped ingredients, along with what has not been used. If you've noticed, I've not seasoned anything other than the shrimp yet. I like to wait until the end of the cook to check for salt. Stir frying all these ingredients together, and the smells are just amazing. The aromas and the aromatics that are involved here are just insane. And now add the shrimp. You want to be careful not to fully cook them through, so you want to keep a careful eye as you stir fry the shrimp. I like to keep them in there somewhere like about a minute, maybe a little bit short of a minute, and then I remove most of them, leaving only a few pieces behind for added flavor to the broth. There are some people that like to keep about half the shrimp in for the broth. I like to eat my shrimp. Now we add the broth, 4 cups of water, the 2 teaspoons of sazon. Stir it up. And now we want to add the already drained rice. You want to make sure to get every little grain into the pot. And this is where I add my black pepper. As you can see, it's a good amount of it. Stir it all up. Now we're going to cover this, bring the flame to medium high, and we're going to cook for 20 minutes. Boom. Look at that. Here's where I check for the right consistency of the rice and for salt. Add some additional cilantro to finish, and whatever salt you need. Stir it all up. Yeah. Shut the flame off and add the shrimp. And now you want to cover that for 5 minutes. Done. Buen provecho.